All right, welcome back. Yes, we're in the kitchen, which means I'm cooking again, but I'm doing one of my favorite recipes, vanilla cheesecake. Um, but I usually use like a Madagascar vanilla or something like that, but this time it's going to be a little different because all these recipes I'm doing are going to have some type of alcohol in it, bourbons, vodkas, moonshine maybe. Just we're going to mix it up. So last year, the wife and I went to Tennessee, and we visited Corsair distilleries, and my wife really liked their vanilla vodka. So we brought a bottle home, and I didn't know what she was going to do with it. And one day she said, "Hey, I want to make this into something that we can use as a vanilla extract." So I got to looking, and I found some vanilla beans on Amazon, and we bought a pack of 5, cut them up, and threw them in the bottle. And now it's 6 months later, and this is what we came up with: Corsair Distilleries vanilla vodka. And man, there's so much vanilla in this. So this ought to be really good in this recipe. So I need to make crust, and then I'm going to make the filling, and then we're going to throw it in the oven. And I'm actually making this for tomorrow night because I'm going to let the cheesecake sit in the refrigerator overnight because I just think it tastes better after it sits for a while. So let's get started. All right, so the first thing I got to do is we're going to make a graham cracker crust. And this time I decided to use chocolate graham crackers because vanilla and chocolate go good together. So we're just going to take these, throw them in my little mixer here, and we're going to grind them all up. Get that all in there, like that. Sorry about the noise. One little piece that did not want to grind up, but we got it now. Alright, I'm just going to take that, put it in a bowl, and I melted half a stick of butter. I'll put that right in the middle of it. And a little pinch of sugar. I'm going to fold this in. Just want to get all of the graham cracker wet with the butter. This is what's going to hold the crust together. Make sure that butter's covering everything, nothing dry left. Alright, that looks pretty good. Now, I'm going to get my springform pan. 9-inch pan, about 2.5 inches deep. I'm just going to put the graham crackers right in the bottom of this. Like that. And I want to just flatten it out into a crust. This crust is going to be about a 1/4 inch thick, maybe a little bit less. And I'm mind going up the sides just a little bit. You don't have to. It's the way I've always done it. I've made this recipe quite a number of times. So, got the crust in there now. I'm going to set this in the fridge and just let it cool down. Alright. Now, I'm going to start making the filling. So I've got my KitchenAid mixer here. And I've got this attachment in it. I don't like the whisk because everything sticks in the whisk too much and you can't get it out. So, 2 packages of Philadelphia cream cheese. You can use the other ones. I like Philadelphia, and I like the full fat one. I don't get the low fat ones. It changes the texture of the cheesecake. So, I'm going to put both of these in there. One. The cream cheese, do let it sit out and get to room temperature. This actually sat in my truck today because I went to the store this morning on the way to work, so it's cold outside, so it's okay. But we're just gonna take and cream this up until it's all blended on low setting. About a minute. Alright, that looks good. I got it to where it started coming off the paddle. So now you just want to scrape all this down. Get it off here. Scrape the sides down. Because you want everything back in the middle. You don't want to leave anything stuck to the sides. Alright. So that's all back in there. Now the next thing I want to add is a cup of sugar. And the reason I add the sugar now is because the granules in the sugar actually help to break down the cream cheese and make it creamy. I'm going to bring this back up. I'm going to start off slow. I'm going to go for another minute. Right about there. Again, we're going to scrape everything down. Get it off the sides. You want to make sure you get every bit of that cream cheese blended in so you don't end up with hard chunks. Whoa, puppy dog. Pull this off for a second. Make sure I got everything out of that deep spot in the bottom. Alright, there we go. That looks good. Alright. Now, I'm going to add 8 ounces of sour cream. I'm going to get a spoon. Do you need treats?
I do.
You need puppy treats? No. Come here, Scott. Had to feed the puppies. Alright, so I'm going to add the sour cream half of this at a time, so 4 ounces at a time, roughly. You can add it all at one time if you wanted to, I just don't. I'm going to let that combine really well. Alright. Again, we're going to scrape everything down off the sides to make sure everything gets in here. Alright. Now we're going to add the other half of the sour cream. gonna mix that up for another minute. That looks good. And again, we're gonna scrape this down. I'm gonna add 3 eggs, 3 large eggs. There's one. And I'm gonna do them one at a time. It's not quite a minute, but again, I'm gonna scrape down the sides in case any egg got up on the sides. Doesn't look like it did, but I'm gonna scrape it down anyway because that's what you're supposed to do. Make sure I don't have anything stuck all the way in the bottom. Looks good. Alright, I'm gonna add a second egg. Back up. Another minute. Alright, that's close enough. Scrape it down again. Alright, now this last egg, I'm gonna get you up close so you can see. This last egg, when you drop it in, should almost disappear. Just like that. When it disappears like that, you know it's creamy enough. So we're going to blend this last one up. Alright, now that we got the last egg in it, it's time to add vanilla. So I'm going to add, that's about an ounce, maybe. Let's do a little more. That's a good shot. So let's blend that up. I'm just looking for the flavor. The alcohol is going to cook off. It smells really good though. Alright, that's good enough on that. Take this off. Take this off. We got a springform pan. Pour this right into it. See how thin that's pouring? That means it's creamy. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to wrap some foil around this, because I'm going to put this into a water bath. And I don't want water getting into it. Just making a little basket for it to sit in. So I just got a pan here that we do hams and stuff in. It's got a little grate in the bottom of it that holds it up about a ½ inch. So I got water up to the top of that, maybe a little bit over. I'm just going to sit this right in the middle of it, just like that. So now we're ready to stick this in the oven. And we're just going to set that right in there, just like that. And we're going to set our timer for about 60 minutes. Ooh, too much. There we go. And start. So we'll come back in 50 minutes or so, and I'll use my cake tester and poke in it and see what it looks like. See you in a little while. Alright, I had to let this go about another 10 minutes. We'll pull it out now. I think it's just about ready. That looks much better. So I've started getting a little bit of color on top of it. It's still a little wet in the middle, but it's got to sit for a while. Yeah. There's a little bit on it right in the center. But right off the center it's clean, so I don't want to go any farther because the outside can get too dry. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull this out of the water bath. I'm going to pull the rack out and sit it on the rack, and I'm going to let it cool. And as it cools, it's probably going to start pulling away from the edge of the pan. And once it gets cool enough to pull out, then I'm gonna pop it in the fridge, and we're gonna wait till tomorrow because it's always better the day after. So let's get this out of here and put it on a cooling rack. All right, so we got it out of the oven. We'll peel the aluminum foil out from around it. And I'm just going to set it up on this cooling rack for right now and let it start cooling. Get a little air underneath of it. Get rid of the aluminum foil. And by circulating the air underneath of it, it'll help it cool down quicker. And it's going to cook a little bit longer just because it's still hot, which is why I pulled it out with the center still a little bit liquid. But out here, you can see there's a little bit browning right there. I didn't want it to go too far brown, but you can see it was starting. There's a few little bubbles of brown out there, and that's where you want to stop it, because if you go any farther and you start getting splits in the middle or it starts pulling away from out here, it's too dry. So this is the perfect spot to just stop it. You can see it looks a little shiny here, so it's a little soft in the middle, but as that sits, it's going to cook a little bit more. So we're going to let this sit here for a few minutes, and hopefully we'll see it start a little bit as it cools down, maybe pulling away, and then we can release a springform pan from it, and then we're going to set it in the refrigerator and let it sit till tomorrow, and then we'll taste it tomorrow. So now we wait. All right, cheesecake is cooled off for a little while, probably about 15 minutes or so, and I'm just going to take my plastic knife here, and we're going to just run it around the edge to make sure that it's broke away, because we don't want it sticking. And I'm going all the way to the bottom. I can actually feel the crust, so I'm breaking that away and pull that out. And let's see if we can get the spring form off of it. There we go. And there it is. It is cooked up in the middle. Actually, see there's a little split there. But other than that, we've got a nice crust. Ooh. And I'm going to take this and I'm just going to put it in the refrigerator. It's still warm on the bottom. And we're going to let it sit overnight, and it'll kind of suck in and condense and be nice and really just creamy and just goodness. So all right guys, so I'm done for tonight. I'm gonna put this cheesecake in the fridge, and we're gonna come back tomorrow and we'll finish this in the morning. See you then. All right, it's the next morning. We're gonna pull this cheesecake out and see how it turned out. So here it is. Wow, looks really good. Nice and dense. Look at that.
Good morning, Daphne. How are you doing? You're making a mess. Get your food everywhere.
All right, let's cut this thing open. See what we got here. Yep, that's creamy. Oh yeah, that's the perfect amount of creamy. Look at that. That's awesome. Perfect creamy all the way through. All right, well, that's it. Thanks for watching. If you liked the video, subscribe, hit the like button, and we'll see you later. What? It's got eggs in it. Leave me alone, I'm eating breakfast.